cells are infested with cockroaches and other organisms. And we've seen pictures I think the last batch of journalists that were detained, and the pictures that were released, especially for the Caraba police station and the Koto police station.
So if the conditions of prison and prisoners are being improved, but the conditions of prison officers are not, I think then there would still be the same problem that we are facing.
My question is, your report covers the monitoring of prisons and police stations. What are the most pressing human rights concerns identified during your visit? And what concrete action do you expect the government and relevant security institutions to take in response of your recommendations?
You can see from the presentation serious concerns relates to the overcrowding of cells, but also having special cells for different categories, segregating detainees according to the different categories. And we have preferred recommendation in respect to those areas. One is for the Ministry of Interior to ensure to expand or to build more cells, to build a better prisons, and so we are able to have space for the different categories, but also to avoid having overcrowding of cells. But one of the recommendations is also for the judiciary and justice sector actors to expedite cases that are pending before the courts, and this would help decongest the space at particularly remand wing in Mile 2. So yeah, these are some of the serious concerns we found during the monitoring, which I would say are the most pressing ones and the recommendations we gave. Thank you.
Yes, and I think when we engage the prison services and interior, one of the things that they said is that they are now building a new prison. I'm sure you are aware of it. But until then, we just cannot. You have to improve what we have. But I think it's a welcome idea having a modern prison. We have been saying that, especially a prison where you desegregate the juveniles, the female wing, you health services, among other things. And of course, a prison that has also vocational training. They have said, I think it's just after Birkama, that this new prison infrastructure will be built. We're looking forward to it, but that notwithstanding, as he said, and I've talked about overcrowding prisons is a problem that involves three institutions, really. It's not just the prison itself. Of course, I've mentioned you have the chain. It's an access to justice issue, remanding of prisoners, the way in which cases are dealt with. So these are issues that they're of great concern to us as an institution, and we kept on raising it, and we will continue to monitor to make sure that until that prison is built, we have improved services. But also, one of the things we do to mitigate it is we have also been doing capacity building training for even prison warden. Commissioner Drame just came in. That's why I handed him the mic. He just coming from Janjambure, and the executive secretary, and not only were they at the Janjambure prisons going around there, but also building the capacity of prison warden to make the prisons more humane. He's an expert in what we call the Nelson Mandela rules. Do you see it? But we have to, it's a holistic approach to these things. But the NHRC, just to answer your question, we have, that is why we do these visits, to make sure that, because we know that prisons are, they're very, interesting is not the word. You keep people, they're vulnerable. You must make sure that you have the minimum standards in which you keep them. But they are of great concerns to us. And unfortunately, some of you had the taste of the prisons. Yes, and I remember as soon as you came from the prisons, yes, he came and he gave me a long list of issues in the prison. So we have experts who can tell us really, and we listen to you. Thank you very much. Yes.
The training we have. If you read the TRRC report on the prisons, one central team has been recognized for the government to do, and that's the effective implementation of what are called the Mandela rules. They are the standard minimum rules for the treatment of prisoners. About 122 rules, but they cut across everything. And I think once we emphasize issues relating to prison and prisoners, I think for our training, one thing that has also come out is the condition of prison officers. Because they are absolutely important that once we focus on prisons and prisoners, the conditions of prison officers also ought to be considered. Because man den call go so if the conditions of prison and prisoners are being improved, but the conditions of prison officers are not, I think then there would still be the same problem that we are facing. And they have poor pay, poor allowances. Some of them, I think the house rent is still around $250. Can you believe it? I mean, their working condition is terrible. Their living conditions are terrible. So I think that also ought to be considered whilst we are also improving the conditions of prison and prisoners. And then Mandela rules are also mentioned that. So I think for me, the state, as it reviews the Prison Act, must ensure that every provision of that act is compatible with the Mandela rules if we are going to have a better prison system and prison administration.
But not also just the prisons. We also, the report also covers detention facilities at police cells. So we're talking about detention at the prisons, but also at police stations. So these are all that we look at.
You mentioned that like Chair said, the issue of the police stations and the issue of lack of sanitation. The cells are infested with cockroaches and other organisms. And we've seen pictures that I think the last batch of journalists in Gambia were detained, and the pictures that were released, especially for the Kairaba police station and the Koti police station, and the detention, the lack of lights, it's dark, that no toilet facilities, and very inhumane. So maybe also that is also a pressing issue with the commission also.